I guess it's not always so good to bet on yourself. I don't know, Jonte. I don't know, man. I don't know. Freddie might have gave you the wrong advice. 21,000, but losing 2 million. I don't know, Coach. I don't know. I really do not know. But anyway, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in on To The Point with the King, and you guys can find us Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, which is hopefully where you're watching us. And if you're going out there, click subscribe, click like, hook us up. You know what I mean? Help us out on there. And thank you for supporting us. Thank you for supporting our fantastic guests, especially my man, right there, all the way from the East Coast, right here to your home, the coach, Tim Roache. How are you doing today, brother?
You know how to give an introduction, man. I'm doing pretty good. I'm
You
doing pretty
deserve
good. Spring is coming. It's always nice.
it's no more fa la 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 la, right? Um, but coach, I reached out to you because I really wanted to speak upon this topic right now. Now that the Raptors season is over, maybe a couple months ago, um, due to injuries, due to trades, due to whatever. But right now, what we've seen is there is a plan in place. I don't know where the plan is because I'm looking behind you and I don't see nobody sitting there making decisions. Okay.
It's me. I'm the one making decisions.
All right. And you are gonna discuss these decisions with us. Like we got obviously Scotty Barnes as the head of Snake, the face of the franchise for the Raptors. You know, we got RJ. I keep saying we. RJ, IQ. You know, Kelly just re-signed. You got Yock, and you know Boucher. He's rejuvenated to be back within the Raptors organization, but there are going to be there are going to be changes in order for the Raptors to get back to the 2019 caliber that they were. Now, I wanted to ask you, with the players and the ones not betting, what would you see from some of these players in some areas that the Raptors need to address?
Well, they certainly need front court help moving forward. We saw when Pirtle went down, when Scotty went down, these guys were decimated on the boards. They were decimated with rim protection. They didn't have any of that right now. So I certainly think moving forward, you just basically have to add to the talent core that you have. Building teams today isn't just one player and you build around them. It's a core. So you surround players, you have a core of players, you surround that more or less. So it's not just building around Scotty per se. I get it. He's the engine. He's the bus driver. But you
Taking them
need
to
RJ
school?
there too. Yeah, maybe. You need RJ. You need quickly. You need Gradey. It's like, okay, now if we've identified these four as a core, I think they need a couple more, quite frankly, added to it. And then you go from there and say, well, what are the missing pieces to surround these guys? We have these are their skill sets. How do we complement them? If there's any lesson from the previous era, you don't want too much redundancy. Vision 6-9 failed a miserable death because you didn't do it right. You surrounded the wrong players around Siakam and Scotty. You surrounded them with negative spacers. So you have to get this right this time around if you want to properly build around the core that you have.
Are you telling me that we should go back to the old school and have an ideal 1, 2, 3, 4, and a big?
Well, let's just put it this way. Every title that's been won, basically outside of Golden State to a degree, has always had a 7-footer who can play, at least a bit. Golden State's the only team that really didn't have to have a 7-footer, but they did have that guy, Kevin Durant, for a couple of years. I think he's 7 foot. But you also have the greatest shooting backcourt ever to play basketball. So you need balance moving forward. We know with that team 2 years ago and last year, there was no balance on the team. There was no shooters. We barely had any length inside. Pearl ever went down, and we had absolutely no length inside. And
Yeah,
then
nobody knew
this year, with
exactly
all the
their role.
yeah, and then this year, after all the trades, we went from Vision 6'9" to about Vision 6'5". We had all these really small guards or small wing players. So where's the balance? We can't go from one extreme to the other. Usually, it's not how teams are built. OKC looks great right now in the playoffs. I want to see how they hold up physically. Chet's a small man. You're battling some of the Jokic's or some of those or Gobert's inside. I want to see how he holds up. Quite frankly, we'll see.
That's another thing. I wanted to ask you. It's do the Raptors really? You might have just touched on it, but do the Raptors really need the size in order for them to propel themselves into a contending level in the Eastern Conference with, you got the Julius Randle, you got, look at Boston, look at Joel Embiid, right? Like you got some of these Bam, even Bam, right? By the way, that was lights out the other night against Boston. Kudos to him. Absolutely beautiful basketball. But do you think the Raptors need to have something as opposed to maybe a lower level tier of Kelly, who's on his way out, and a Jakob, who's also older? Do you think the Raptors should be looking for something maybe a little bit younger at that size that can perform?
Yes, and this team definitely needs size. Every team in the NBA needs size. It's hard.
That's how you make the NBA.
Yeah, pretty much. We've been playing with small guards for quite a while. It's not a knock against Fred or Kyle Lowry. We actually had success with those guys. Kyle Lowry in particular, just a special dude, guy who's animated, physical. Just he grew into this leadership role, and then. But it's tough when it gets down to the playoffs and everybody's switching, and then the guy guarding you is 6 foot and you're 6'9". That's where the Raptors kind of fell into this trap a couple of years ago, and they're still into it today. You can have Emmanuel quickly at your point guard. You might want to think about getting a backup point guard who's like 6'5", 6'6", maybe a little bit more solid for in terms of just being able to guard and maybe get to the hoop. So front court help is definitely going to be a need, I think, coming up in this draft. Trades, I won't get into the draft or anything like that, but they have to look forward at gaining more size because this team used to be a bigger team when they had Fred and OG and Scotty and Siakam and Pirtle. Actually, was quite a big team,
Yeah.
and I know they didn't have quite the success with that bunch, but the pieces don't fit. So you have to find the right mix of pieces, size, balance. That's how I would look to construct this moving forward. And the common denominator in all of this that makes it go together, talent. You need talent. We're talent deficient right now. Need to add 2 or 3 guys who can really take that next step.
You just said something there. I at that time I did the math on it, and it was 21.2 feet worth of wingspan between the three gentlemen that you mentioned, right? That could pretty much cover, and you and I, as former coaches, can completely understand if you got three guys guarding the baseline and the key that can cover that much ground, hey, why not? But they're bringing in a lot of smaller guys. I think Vision 6'9" right now might be a little bit in the back pocket, a little bit
Might be
in the
dead.
back seat, right? So, uh, 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 okay, okay, I'm gonna say it. Fuck it, YouTube. Okay, you and I, as both former coaches, right now, okay, the Raptors need to solidify themselves and possibly ditch that 6'9" vision. Great idea. I'm not against it whatsoever. If you can pull it off, pull it off. But you got the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. You got the big, right? Do you think the Raptors should pull back to getting to that point? Get it? To that point where they should actually utilize that, especially building around Scotty Barnes, because you always got to build around your 2 or your 3, right? And right now, currently, the Raptors have a good 1, a good 2, and a good 3. Do you think they should pull it back and make sure that happens in order for them just to get back to 2019, man? Let's get in the time
Yeah.
machine, buddy.
The Vision 6'9" theory is the way I see is more of a defensive one. The idea is you should be able to switch off on a point guard to a center. 6'9", you have good lateral quickness. There should be no real big mismatches. And
Yep.
the Raptors, to a degree, when Nurse was here, were able to basically do okay with that. It was their offense that stunk when Nurse was here. A lot of ISO ball, a lot of negative spacing, a lot of guys clogging the paint. And you saw that actually this year too, even in Darko's offense, which is much different than Nurse's. He has a system, and I think a system is important, but I don't think it's everything. So should
Still
they
a
claw
rookie.
back? Yep. Should they claw back on Vision 6'9"? I just think you need to get the talent that fits right now around Scotty, around RJ, and around Quickly. One thing you definitely need, you still need size moving forward, but it's like, what are the skill sets that we put around these guys? It can't just be, are they 6'9" and can they move their feet? It's got to be, well, how do they read plays? How do they read situations? Do they set good screens? Are they going to be talkative on defense? So there's so many more things that go into this. Are they able to operate over the high post? Darko's offense is very high post oriented. We've seen it with Pirtle. They try to make Precious Achua an offensive hub, which he's never been in his life. So you're just putting him in a bad situation in that regards. So it's about certainly the talent, and it's a great part of this going to be. Can you play a Darko system as well? There's spaces for that.
Okay, you said something right there that just sparked me again. I'm like Optimus Prime. I got that spark. Okay. Um, Now with the current talent, I have something to say here. And I want to ask you before I make my assumption and my judgment, which has already been made. Gary Trent Jr. I've been, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I've been saying a lot of things about him over the last couple years. Okay. And I do not think he should be part of the Raptors organization. He has stepped up and I swear to God, somebody in the Raptors organization is watching us because I said he's got to get to his mid range game, and he did. and he's been succeeding with the absence of Scotty Barnes. But, however, I think that he might be valuable to leave in order for the Raptors to gain what we are saying in a front court presence. What are your thoughts on that? Agree or disagree with me, man? Go ahead. And you guys out
I
there, agree or disagree with me. Get at it.
I mean, my opinion on Gary is I don't think he's going to be back next year, but the market is going to dictate how much he's going to get in free agency. The market might not be as kind to him as he may think. A lot of teams are getting worried about the new CBA about dishing out big contracts. Now, that could be an opportunity where the Raptors get a deal on him. But let's be clear on this. Gary's not in his early to mid 30s. He's 25. He's in the prime of his career. What I'm saying is, if you make a contract offer to someone to enter in the prime of their career and you get a bit of a deal or a discount, let's just say, it's not a bad option. But now, my personal opinion, do I think he's going to be back? No, because Masai has repeatedly said this is about flexibility. This is about, that's just a code for being cheap, more or less. And I don't blame them because they're starting over. So I don't think Gary's going to be back. If he is back, I'm okay with it, but we definitely need to address some front court help regardless.
Yeah, but he's not really going to fit into the starting lineup when you got IQ, RJ, Scotty.
No, he's probably, you got to come to some agreement maybe about him either coming off the bench or eventually going to the bench because I think you probably at some point need to start Gradey.
There we go. We forgot about our Dick.
We forgot about our Gradey.
No, I'm serious. That kid has really okay. Here's the thing. You cannot change with him. He's signed to a rookie contract, so you know he's going to be here for a good while, right? Wow, he's getting it hard for a couple years. But no, in Scotty's absence, he has really actually stepped up. Maybe inconsistent, but has stepped up in multiple ways. He's gotten hard. These jokes write themselves.
They do.
But within that core of IQ, RJ, Scotty, Gradey, right? I don't see Gary fitting into this equation, right? Especially when like you said, addressing the front court help. What do you think about, like, I don't know, man, like tossing up Trent for, I don't know, a big somewhere around the league, like a quick little trade? Do you think Masai is thinking of that?
No, that would require a sign and trade. I just don't think Gary would require a team to do that. That would be like if we were over the cap or something like that. I just think a team can sign him outright. I do worry about just Kelly Olynyk now in the front court. Kelly Olynyk signed his extension. He's going to be here next year. Kelly Olynyk is not. He'll never win Defensive Player of the Year. I'll just put it that way. And this front court desperately needs guys who can defend. So when you mentioned about, if Gary leaves, who do we go out in free agency? Do we look to bring someone in via trade? Do you look to address it through the draft? I'm guessing they're going to try to address it through the draft because they've signaled while we're rebuilding. So you can get away with it now, but you won't be able to get away with that in a couple of years. So if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I think Gary is the odd man out, pretty much. Like
It's money. It's just money.
he's on the outside looking in
Yeah.
right now, and he's trying to what I think from what I saw from the last couple games due to Scotty's absence is he looked more along the lines of somebody trying to up their trade or their money value. That's what it looked like to me. Because
Hmm?
when I saw this, when I was watching him play, and I even went to a bunch of the games near the end of the season, and every time I saw him play, I'm like, mother, what? I'm like, are you serious? Where were you in the beginning of the season when all this shit was going on? Now you want to step up? I don't know. And maybe last year and the year before, but that's neither here nor there. Um, so, coach, um, is there any more speculations you have to make on changes before we get out of here?
Well, the whole Bruce Brown situation is interesting because his contract is up after the draft. I think it's a couple of days after where the Raptors can decide if they extend his deal or not. I don't think he'll be back next year. That's a contract that you can either trade, sign and trade, or you might get a bit back from it. You're not getting as much back as they probably think. So I don't think Bruce Brown is going to be back. I don't think Bruce Brown wants to be back. And I don't blame Bruce Brown. He went from Denver to winning a title to on a decent team in Indiana to us. So I think he needs to
And playing
go somewhere
nothing.
else. Yeah, and Bruce Brown, he just doesn't fit with this team moving forward. Boucher is an interesting one to me as well. Um, I know
Why
he's got
so?
1 year left on his deal. I had a bit of a discussion with Ahmet Man, and he said how this team right now has zero culture, none. After all the trades and all the things we heard in the locker room from the last couple of years, but a guy like Boucher, when he's on the court, what does he do really well? His work ethic. He runs hard and he works hard. He's always battling on the boards. So there is that element of okay, this is how you work in the NBA. This is how hard you have to play, and that's a talent. So, do I want to show that to my young guys that I'm bringing? This is how hard you work. The only issue is Boucher doesn't fit in Darko's system. The way that Darko wants to play, of having bigs really have the basketball and kind of run the offense to a degree, that's not his game. So there's that competing narrative. What is that going to look like? Because I don't want to. There's no point if you're just going to sit Boucher on the bench. Why do that? You might as well just trade him if you're not going to use him. Just for his sake, I say that. So I don't know if he's back on this team next year.
Ooh, that's two down. Whoa. Okay. Okay,
You might
coach.
not have Boucher, Trent, or Brown on this team next year. It's not going to shock me, and not going to shock me if one of them's back. That won't shock me either.
Out of your three right there, I would probably keep Boucher as a
Fair.
coach, right?
Yeah.
To show the kids, hey man,
How
this
to
is how you
work.
gotta work. You gotta work hard.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And you did cover that on one of our previous episodes about how hard Boucher works and his
Yeah.
goal
Sometimes I'm not the
really should
biggest
not
fan of
go
his
anywhere.
game. I've seen a lot of defensive miscommunications, but you know what? The defense was so bad this year to begin with. I think we were ranked 29th in defensive rating
Yeah,
by the end of the season, or the last couple of months. I think we were
I
25
saw
in the league.
28th at one point.
Yeah, like it's not going to matter quite when the whole team is bad. It doesn't look good. So I'm fine. Look, if he's back, I do see some positives to it. But if he's gone, I'll just say good for him because he's probably getting an opportunity to either play more or compete for a championship. He's not a young guy. He's 31, 32. We all know in the NBA, you don't have too many years left.
Yeah, let him move into the playoffs like OG and Pascal.
Hey, some of those teams in the playoffs right now could use a Chris Boucher because what happens in the playoffs? It's a lot more physical, and the defense really picks up. In the
And
in
you
the
and I
regular
both know
season,
that it becomes a half court offense, half court defense.
yep,
That's when it
slows
really
down.
comes down to it. It's not that shine and go. Like I can't help but laugh. As of this
Yeah,
current
it's not.
recording, 0-3 for the Lakers. I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry. You could cry and whine all you want, but you are plus 537 in free throw attempts and complaining about the refs not giving you a call. You can't.
Denver pretty good. Denver probably going to win it all again. That guy Jokic is he's pretty good. And Jamal Murray, one of Kitchener's finest. He's good.
Oh, Canada. Let's go,
Oh,
Jamal.
Canada.
I'm
Suit up
backing
this
him.
summer for us, man.
I'm backing him, and I'm backing Shy.
Yeah.
So, Coach, thank you for joining us right here on To the Point. It's very much appreciated. We hope I know the fans out there would hope to see you again. So we really appreciate it. And get me some lobster or some oxtail. But on behalf of myself,
Those
Arturas,
are two very different things. Lobsters and oxtail.
surf and turf, baby. Turf.
Yeah, there you go.
So on behalf of myself, Arturas, and the one and only, the coach from the East Coast to your home, Tim Roache. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and peace.